bet. All right, teammates. We are back once again. If this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the number one show on innovative teamwork. Great to have you. Looking forward to having you back for more. To my regular listeners, it's become the norm. It's become the expectation. It's become what we're all about here. Whatever you're going through, I'm telling you, whatever the struggle is, whatever thing you are living through, we are here to indirectly tell you you are not going through it alone. So before I bring my next guest on, I just got to give you guys an understanding of something about me that I don't reveal often because it is one of the lowest points I've ever had in my life. Is there was a period in which I did live out of a car. There was a period in which I struggled and I had to make a choice to where, hey, do you want to be successful? Do you want to build this business or do you want to waste money on rent and put money aside so you can start building and doing the things I have now? So that was a very sore part of my journey, a journey that has not, obviously is not where it can be at the potential yet. But I did meet someone. I met my girl and who I've been talking about for quite a bit for the past 5 months. And she found out that there was a period in which I did have to live out of a car. And then she saw this interview. She saw a clip of this guy named Mario Kelly. And I immediately bought the book, $27 to a Millionaire. She said, look, the reason I said this to you is because there was a period there where he had to do it. I mean, divorce, lost the job, lost everything. And this is Detroit, this is cold and you're living out of a van. And hey, he figured it out, man. So before I make the intro too long, I'm just going to go ahead and bring him on. So Mario Kelly, welcome to the show, man.
No, I was saying I appreciate you for having me on the show, man.
Mhm. Yeah, likewise. Let's kick things off because and now I read the book, and again, I strongly recommend you guys go get it. Very, very quick read, very, very much understanding, very much something that you can take from and really whatever issues or whatever problems you may be having. We don't want to hear the excuses. But what I just actually found out before we started recording that you were a former football player. And I have listen, I have the latest book I have is sitting right here, Transferring D1, written last year about how to transfer and a lot of the things I lived through as a football player. And I'm curious now, for you to kind of go back to those lessons because what I'm all about is taking those innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses. And I am on record saying I don't think there's a better example than what you learn on the field, the discipline, the structure, all the things that your coaches scream at you all day that you hate. All of this stuff starts helping you in the business world. So let's just kick things off from there, man.
Yeah, honestly, like I was telling you before we got the recording, is that I run my business like it's a football team still.
Hmm.
My supervisors are mostly the quarterbacks. The people who are working are the gritty running backs, the linemen, depending
Hmm.
on what job you have. But everybody has to hold each other accountable. There's not one player that ever played football that did everything by himself.
Right.
Teamwork makes the dream work. So in order to, for instance, get these facilities clean, it may be a 2 million, 3 million square foot facility.
Right.
And one person cannot clean everything. We need someone to do the trash. We need someone to do the recycling, someone to do the bathrooms.
Hmm.
So if we come together as one, we can score a touchdown. That's
Right.
getting the job done.
Right.
We're in the game. That's when you get your paycheck. So, and I always tell them, practice is the job, and
Yeah.
then your paycheck is the game.
Yeah. I have it's something similar the way. So the acronym SWIFTly, it means skilled, well-informed front team. The skill players are like you just referred to, the wideouts, the DBs, guys that can do a lot of different things. Well-informed are those quarterbacks, linebackers that putting the skill guys in the right position.
Yeah,
Front team is that offensive line. You only give a shit about them is when they're giving up a sack or they're holding and stuff like
yeah,
that. But the
yeah,
LY is when you lift yourself. So when you have a quarterback that is like a Trevor Lawrence that is just as fast as your receivers, then you're getting better. So I kind of teach it in a similar way as an employee development aspect is I want you guys getting better. I want your accountants knowing what your salespeople are doing. I want your cleaners knowing what the managers are doing. All those kinds of things come out. And when you so all right, let's go back here then because I know for me when I graduated and I was done playing football again, 99% of you guys are not going to play in the pro league. 99% of you all listening to me are not going to the NFL. So we got to figure some shit out. All right. And I know that was the most challenging times for me is when that structure was gone and I had to figure out who the hell Aswan was going to be once football ended. And that's where a lot of the hardships that I had expressed to you before started happening. When did things really, really get rock bottom for you after you said it Bowling Green, correct?
Yeah, I went to Bowling Green and Olivet.
Right. So when you kind of hung up the cleats and it was done and you said, "Hey, and I got to figure something out." How was life for you then? What were some of the adjustment? What were some of the challenges and difficulties then?
Man, like you just said, it's really a big mental adjustment.
Mhm.
From going from being the man to scoring touchdowns, people screaming your name and different
Mhm.
things like that, to now, like you're saying, having to figure out who I am, what I
Right.
want to do, my next page, next chapter of my book. Um, that was a huge adjustment, honestly, from like I said, because I've been playing football since adolescent, maybe 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
And we have been man, can you pause it for 1 second? I got the company calling me real quick. Hold on 1 second.
I got you.
Hey Brian, how you doing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was a huge transition becoming from a all-American athlete to now, as we say, just a trying to figure myself out, a modern citizen. I've been used to people screaming my name. I've been used to people wearing my jersey. So now I had to figure out who I was,
Hmm.
figure out my new identity. So that was probably one of my biggest transformations in life.
Now, was the professional playing profession, was that a goal that you actually pursued, or was that something like how was that go? Because I actually one of my best friends is from Detroit, and my sophomore year I tore my ACL, so I had to move back home to Maryland, work at a gym, and that's where I met him. And he was actually playing in the Arena League, and he was trying out for the NFL. It was at that point, Mario, where I said, I'm not gonna be good enough to play in the NFL because I saw what NFL looked like.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
NFL look like. So like by the time I got my degree, I was like, all right, look, coaching, doing something that ain't playing because I just was realistic. Talk to me about when you actually had to like give because what happens is you pursue that goal, and this is gonna hit home for a lot of people. You pursue that goal, and then next thing you know, you have to accept the fact that you aren't gonna make it for whatever reason it is. And then the time you could have been spent getting job opportunities, the time you could have been spent networking. What I've recognized is there's a hustle mentality that comes with it, but then there's a I just don't know what direction to take it. You know what I'm saying? So when you finally send in and say, "Look, I'm got to do something new. I got to make money." When was those moments like?
I would say going to college and now I'm running up against talent that's just as fast, if not faster.
Yeah,
You know,
when you see it, right?
yeah, yeah. When I see it now, in my state, I've been the top tier.
Right.
So now when we go to college and we see someone from Maryland or something like that, we notice that we're not the fastest in the world.
Right.
Jump the highest.
Right.
So that was like when I got to college was really what was an eye opener for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I realized that I wasn't that my dream that I've been dreaming of since I was 8, 9 years old
Hmm.
may not be coming to fruition, you
Right.
know. So then is when I really realized what is going to be your next step in college. So I started off Alex in college trying to do parties,
Hmm.
be a party promoter and different things like that.
Hmm. So, all right, and then so when did it get to the point now where I'm assuming you met someone and then you had to get a divorce and then now you have to, go back to living or go to living in your van. When did it get to that point where you're like, look, I'm gonna make this sacrifice because something, it's just you're gonna be better off doing that than I guess staying at home. Like walk us through a little bit of that moment.
Um, so later on in my life, a few couple years later, well, I won't say a couple years, 'cause I graduated like um, early 2000s. So later in
Mhm.
the late 2000s,
Oh man, yeah, that gives you some perspective right there, boy.
yeah, later on, late 2000s, I end up getting married.
Mhm.
And like you said, thinking that this was going to carry on to the end of my life,
Mhm.
where it actually didn't. And when she ended up getting a life insurance policy in the book, it
That
says
was
that
it. Yeah, yeah, that was it. Yeah, it's coming
so,
back. Right. Yeah.
so now in the book, we put that it was we raised the money together.
Hmm.
But actually, she got a life insurance policy and just gave me $1,500.
Yeah.
Uh, at that point, and that might be another transition in my life where I had to, like you said, being top tier athlete,
Hmm.
head of your class in high school and college, and now you have to put your ego to the side, you have to put your pride to the side, and literally figure out what's best for you. I had, like I said, I had to live in my van for a few months. I had to take that money and buy these rubber bands.
Right. I remember reading that. Yeah.
I bought these rubber bands and just started selling these rubber bands around downtown Detroit to figure it out. It was a lot of praying. It was some cold nights. So like you say, it gets very cold here in Michigan. It was some cold nights. Um, and I just had to figure out what was best for me. I knew God wouldn't put more on me than I can handle. And when I came to the house that day and found she had moved out, the
Hmm.
first thing I said was, "What would Jesus do?"
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember those rubber bands back in the day. I'm telling my age, but I don't know.
WWJD. Yeah. Yeah. I
Uh,
remember those. You used to
yeah,
sell
so
those. Right.
yeah, so that's what I made.
Right.
That's what gave me the whole idea of mine. Believe rubber bands.
Right.
So I started selling those Believe rubber bands and just had to put all the pride aside in order to
Mhm.
become the person that I needed to be.
Right.
Uh,
Now you tell a story that really touched my heart because my I do this I literally do the same thing when I go out and run and I look at nice houses. I live out here in West Palm Beach now, and my mother would do the same thing when she drove buses for Ride On. Is she would drive and see these major houses and just want to just kind of envision themselves living there, right? So you would do that. You would actually go to that part of town and live and sleep there. But you saw a house and you actually, I think it was like $65,000 and something about you paid
500.
6,500. Yeah, 6,500. You paid for it. You fixed it up. And next thing you know, you have a cleaning company that you got asked if you had a cleaning company. Is like, well, I do now. And then you're able to create that. So walk us through that transition now where and this is what people listen, and I will say this, I'll be on the record saying this. Look, if you've ever had to do it and live out of your car, you are seeing the world from rock bottom. You're seeing it from the bottom up. My mother tells me that all the time. Even now, they say no matter how good your situation is now, you are going to see the world from the bottom up. And that right there is an absolute asset. So when you're in this house, you see the house, 6,500, and all of a sudden now, look, I got a business. I got something that is about to take over. So walk us through like the aha, to come to Jesus moment where it's like, God, I knew you was gonna do it for me, man.
Um, so it was either use the 1,500 to pay for that next month of rent
Hmm.
or just figure it out. And at this particular time, I ended up finding out about something called manifestation.
Hmm.
Um, and I know a lot of times people might say, "Dang, he just figured it out when he was in his 30s." And it's time. This is his story. So I
Yeah.
was 35 years old when I realized what manifestation was. So I started. I had no other choice. What
Right.
else could
You
could
see
go
it from the
wrong?
bottom up. I'm telling you.
Like you say, from the bottom up. So I said, I'm from the east side of Detroit,
Hmm.
and we have a suburb in Detroit. It's called Rosedale Park. It's like 16 blocks long, maybe 16 block wide,
Right.
where all of these houses over here are at least 250, $300,000 and up.
Right.
Um, so I said, let me manifest that this is where I
Yeah.
want to live.
Yeah.
So I started driving over here every night.
Right.
I come downtown selling rubber bands. I'll go over there and find a different house every night to sleep in front of.
Hmm.
And I would manifest that was my house. I was living at their house for that night. In
Hmm.
the morning, I would go to LA Fitness, take me a shower. Sometimes I go in LA Fitness and maybe just do one push up, one pull up or something, go straight to the shower because I didn't want them to think that I was just using it for a shower. I didn't know if that was against the rules or what.
Yep.
So I would take a shower, go downtown,
Hmm.
back to the routine, selling the rubber bands.
Right.
Done selling rubber bands, I'll go back to Rosedale Park, find a different house,
Hmm.
and just sleep in front of that house and manifest that that's the house that I'm living in.
Yeah.
Uh, then I did that for about 4 or 5 months. And then one particular day, it was a little warmer outside.
Hmm.
I'm just riding around. Sometimes I would even just come over in that neighborhood and just drive around the blocks,
Hmm.
just chill out and just manifest what I need to be and just think about where I'm trying to go.
Hmm.
And I seen the police coming off of a house writing like a abatement sign. So here in Detroit, you get tickets for grass too high, broken windows,
Hmm.
things that make the house look abandoned. So
Hmm.
they're writing tickets. I went and asked the police officer, like, "Hey, what's going on with this house?" He said, "Man, we've been writing tickets for years."
Wow.
Took the ticket, went straight downtown, pulled the deed on the house, figured out who the owner was,
Wow.
ended up finding him on Facebook,
Yeah.
calling him. He didn't even want to sell me the house. He didn't even want to
Even though
sell it.
he owed a bunch on it though. No, didn't.
He owed water bill, he owed
Right,
taxes, he owed everything. He didn't even live in the house anymore. He had gave up on it
right,
because he had moved somewhere else.
right.
So I literally bought the house from him for $6,500.
Wow.
I had at this particular time had already saved up maybe about
Mhm.
$17,000, putting all the money in the spare tire. Went and got him a cashier's check, got the crib, went in there, cleaned it out, tarped off the whole house outside of the bathroom and
Mhm.
one bedroom.
Hmm.
Uh, used some more of the money to get the bathroom done, tile the
Mhm.
bathroom off, toilet, shower, sink,
Right.
bathroom all the way together. And then I just went and got me an air mattress
Hmm.
and just continue the whole process as far as
Hmm.
buying rubber bands going downtown. And I would use the money from the rubber bands to start working on another room in the house.
Yeah.
This room was a two-bedroom, so I work on the kids' room,
Right.
the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, the basement.
Right. Right.
It took me about a year and a half to really get the whole house livable for myself. Some other people will come in there and say, "Man, what is this you live in?" But it was livable for me. I was
I could
happy.
only imagine. I could only imagine.
My current fiance came in there when we first started messing around, and she's like, "Oh no, I can't stay over here."
Yeah.
She's a
I
real
understand.
estate agent, so she got a certain criteria that she likes to live in or
Yeah.
even use the bathroom. I mean, I remember one day she had brought her son over.
Hmm.
He begged her not to take a shower. Like, I can't take a shower in there. She like in this. She like, no, I'm not
How old
taking.
was how old was the son?
Oh man, he was probably about 8, 9 years
Yeah,
old
so
at
that
the
age, I'm
time.
getting
But
yeah.
he was like, no, I'm not taking no shower in there.
Right, right.
So, but to me, it was perfect. It was great. It was a foundation.
Exactly.
So, but going back, so after I had got the house livable for myself,
Hmm.
I ended up selling T-shirts because people had started asking for T-shirts outside when I made the rubber bands. Believe in Detroit, a group from it's called the Detroit Youth Choir. They
Hmm.
were on America's Got Talent. Um, they on America's Got Talent. They ended up coming in second place. They had actually asked me for some shirts to wear on the show. I couldn't get the shirts to them in time, but when they came to Detroit, I gave them the shirts. They wore through the parade in the city of Detroit.
Hmm.
There's a local company here called Shinola. It's a watch company. It's actually the only Swiss American made luxury watch here in America. So,
Hmm.
you have Rolex and AP and Breitling and different things that's all made in Switzerland.
Hmm.
But in America, we have something called Shinola, where it's a luxury watch, affordable luxury watch.
Hmm.
Um, they had asked us, we told us we could come up there and do a tour of their headquarters just to show how watches are made and their whole process of different things like that. And as we're on the tour, we walk in the room and the actual room was filthy. I wouldn't say filthy, it was dirty. The
Right.
cleaning company probably had got comfortable, didn't go in there and clean it up the night before.
Hmm.
And then the lady was like, "Oh, I apologize. Our cleaning company is terrible." I said, "Hey, I got a cleaning company."
Yeah.
I didn't have a cleaning company at all. But
Right.
I had also got a book when I was sleeping in the van,
Hmm.
Dan Gilbert, called The 19 Isms.
Ism.
And
Yep, I remember that. Yeah.
he's a billionaire. He owns the Cleveland Cavaliers, he owns
He
Rocket
does.
Mortgage. And these are things
He's
he
the guy
lived.
that you're always hearing about, wrote that letter to LeBron when
Yes.
that stuff
Yes,
comes
he's the
up.
person that wrote the letter to LeBron. So
His name always comes up when it comes to that. But
yeah.
he's a million knows his shit. So
So he wrote 19 isms, and these are isms that he lives by on a daily.
yeah.
So my whole thing was, why wouldn't I take on a billionaire's mindset?
Hmm.
One of his isms is take advantage of the inches around you. Everything that we need is right in our face. If you open your eyes, you'll see more. And
Yeah.
that was one of those scenarios where I had just had to take advantage of the inches around me.
Right.
Where she said, "Hey, our cleaning company is terrible, this and that." I jumped right to it and said, "Hey, I got a cleaning company."
Right.
And
So there's one thing I want to make sure we get on the record to it. I do want to be very respectful of your time as well. Is number one, when you make money, you have got to, if you really want to make real money, you got to be very responsible. So the part that hits home for me is the fact that you have this money, $17,000 in a spare tire, you have it saved up, and you're responsible enough to actually purchase a home, and then the money that you're making from the rubber bands, all right, I'm gonna fix up the child's room, I'm gonna fix up the bathroom, I'm gonna fix up these things that are actually gonna be like it says on your shirt, a damn asset. He's not going out clubbing. He's not blowing it at a strip club. He's not buying a bunch of cars and putting a bunch of stuff that's going to ruin his credit. That's number one that needs to get mentioned on this show now because too many of you all listening to me right now take the money that you earn and you completely just waste it and throw it in the toilet when you buy shit that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't appreciate shit. All right, that's number one. Second thing is I know you're very philanthropic, and I like to use it. I don't know if it's philanthropic or if it's just you just giving back to yourself because the part I have it highlighted right here. I want to read it on the record because it's more so about you can call it a cleaning company, but you can also be more about he's actually using the money he's making to give back. So one, it says that I'm reading page 78, and hopefully I'm not giving too much away for you, but one story that stands out in my mind is that of Maria, single mother who joined our company as a part-time cleaner when we won that healthcare contract. He won a contract and he's given back. Maria expressed interest in taking on more responsibility despite her lack of experience in the healthcare sector. We saw her potential and invested in her training, folks. Maria threw herself into learning everything she could about healthcare, cleaning protocols, extra hours, studied in her free time, most knowledgeable, and now she's one of the most knowledgeable people. He gave the opportunity to someone who needed it. The person who, brought me to his work. She was a single mother before she met me. And that just attracts people and it's attracting a tribe of folks that you just never know who you're going to touch. So I want to give you the opportunity now is to kind of sort of speak on the philanthropic aspect of what you do, just so if there's anybody listening, they understand that, hey, when you make a dollar, you got to be figuring out ways to give it back so it comes back twofold. That's really the only way to make real cash. If you really want the bag, like young kids like to say, really want the bag, you got to figure out ways to collaborate and give back to your community.
Yeah. Yeah, to speak on that, so when you're making some money, the shirt says it best. Earn
Hmm.
future, those are my guys, that's family, assets over liabilities. You know,
So you know the founders of that company?
yeah, I've been on their podcast a few times.
Yeah, I heard of them.
Yeah, so assets over liabilities. You have to figure out what is assets and what are liabilities, like you just said. Making some money, going to the club, all of that. Spending money that's not going to bring anything back in. If it's education, if it's revenue, if it's anything like that, if it's not bringing it in, it's a liability. Um, but this speaks volumes to different people.
Hmm.
Each person is different. So, it may be the next person to say, hey, I like buying Rolexes because I know it holds value. 2 years from now, I probably can sell it for $2,000 more.
Hmm.
Another person buying a Rolex, it may be a liability. It may take away from the payroll or different things like that.
Yeah.
But we all have a purpose in this life.
Hmm.
And I truly believe my purpose is to help.
Yes.
Um, so however, whenever, if it's helping a company get some employees, if it's helping an employee get a job, if
Hmm.
it's helping someone who can't keep their house clean their house, or whatever it may be, that's my paying it forward.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, when it comes to helping someone understand something that they didn't understand, it may be a person who wants to learn about cleaning but needs some training, wants to learn about the healthcare because to clean inside of a hospital, you have to have certain trainings on. You're dealing with blood, you're dealing with all type of bodily fluids and different things like that.
Hmm.
Even dealing with needles and different materials that need to be disposed different ways.
Right.
So it's trainings that come with that. And
Hmm.
some people, and we offered training for hospitals, like you said in the book. But some people who can take that training, take that small job, and now she even like now she owns her own company. She has her own cleaning company, and
Right.
that's the ultimate goal. It's not to like I tell everybody when they come to a
Mm.
job fair, I don't want you working for me. I
Mm.
want you to use me as a platform. I want
Mm.
you to use me as motivation to say, I'm going to go start my own.
Mhm.
I'm going to use this to catapult to another job. I love when people come back that haven't, that's worked for us for a few weeks, a few months,
Mm.
come back and say, hey, Mr. Kelly, I'm with the waste management, man. I'm making $32 an hour. I
Mhm.
appreciate you, because my goal is also was to show people that it's cool to work.
Yeah.
My era and the areas up under me feel like, I got to be scamming, I got to be selling something illegal,
Yeah.
anything like that. I want to show you that you can work a job
Hmm.
and be just as wealthy, just as whatever you want to be as the rappers, as the drug dealers.
Exactly.
And in all actuality, drug dealers and rappers and stuff wish they could have a business. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, rappers want to start getting the real estate. They
Hmm.
want to open restaurants. They want to do this. They want to do that, because this is the way of life.
Exactly.
Uh, so yeah, I'm always looking to help someone. I
Mm.
don't care what level it is, how it is. My goal, if it was also like I've hired thousands of people from the halfway house. So the halfway house is when you go to jail and you got like a year or less, they
Hmm.
send you to a halfway house where
Hmm.
you can still go out and every day to work.
Hmm.
My goal was to show them coming back from doing 5, 10, 15 years that don't do this what you did that got you in there.
Right.
I had $27. So you can start with $27
Right.
and anything you want to do in the world. You just got to be mentally ready.
Right, right. It's going to be a mental fight, and that's really the key about it is you have so much power within yourself to heal a lot of your problems. And when you show up in the world, people are going to recognize if you've done the work or not. I mean, when I messaged him and the feeling I got when I read it, it was instant because there was a level of grind, there was a level of understanding that hey, this person put their work in, that person put their work in, and we're just going to figure out how to serve people together. So, like I said, I do want to be very respectful of your time. I appreciate you jumping on. I know you're a busy man. Can you just tell people a little bit about what's next, how they can get in touch with you, if they want to hear more, if they want to hire you, you could put all that stuff out there now.
Yeah, so the next thing is I'm very forward thinking. Uh,
Hmm.
2020 when we were and I always want to help too, like I said. So in 2020, when COVID hit, my ultimate goal was when people were running away from the germs, I was running towards them. I was trying to figure out a way, how can I help people get back outside
Hmm.
instead of staying inside? In 2021, when no one wanted to work and corporations and companies were literally standing on corners with signs saying, "Hey, come get a job."
Hmm.
I decided to make a staffing agency to try to jump in front of it to help people get jobs.
Hmm.
The next thing that we're doing now is this AI. AI is truly here to stay.
Oh, man, it is. Boy. Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people may be like, "Oh man, that's just a fave. That's just gonna come and go,"
Yeah.
And I always compare that 2 to 3 year sector where it went from horseback riding to Model Ts. You
Hmm.
know, people always thought that they were going to be riding horses from ever
Hmm.
cross town, horse and carriage, and different things like that. But once cars came, they didn't really understand it. And I don't think that's going to be here, and now it's here forever.
Yeah.
Uh, which AI is here forever. So me working in so many corporations, I understand that there's a huge issue with call centers,
Hmm.
revolving doors. You have to train people. You can imagine if you call any call center in the world today
Hmm.
between 9 a.m. and 11 p.m., 11 a.m., you're going to have a bad experience. Everybody had a 4 day weekend,
Hmm.
uh, stayed up late yesterday for the holiday, didn't want to come to work today. So
Hmm.
what started with something called um, AI is the website.
Hmm.
Uh, it's a call center that for you can have a call with a bot, AI agent for 10 to 40 minutes, no training, knows your business in and out, answers any frequently asked questions, can transfer calls,
Yeah.
can make a work list, can if you're selling something, it can build out a cart for you.
Hmm.
Never miss a call. It can actually take 18 calls per minute.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's doing the job of 18 people at once. It knows everything in and out about your company, and it
Hmm.
just makes everything more efficient because one company we did used to clean was called Airmark, and Airmark would have had a call center where you had to be trained for 6 weeks.
Hmm.
After the 6 weeks, you still had to pass a test in order to get on the floor to take calls. So
Hmm.
if they have 10 people every in these classes every 6 weeks, maybe six of them are passing. So you didn't pay 4 to 5 people um, a salary or payroll for 6 weeks that
Hmm.
can't pass the test. So then you got another group to come in, another 10,
Yeah. And
and
that's costing, that's like eats away at their
it's very, yes, it's very costly.
right.
You know, at the end of the day, you're talking about 6 weeks for people that's not passing the test,
Yeah,
but you've probably paid them anywhere between um, 45 to $10,000 that
yeah,
you've wasted.
that you've wasted.
So now
And then
with
that
Emily,
adds up with it's per
yeah,
person. Yes.
yes, yeah, yeah. Oh, that adds up over a year's time.
Right.
You know, maybe 100 people.
Hmm.
You probably wasting anywhere between $100,000 to $500,000 on people that didn't pass the test. So now with
Yeah.
Emily, a call center agent, she's 100% efficient all the time. Emotional intelligence is in there, so she can notice if you're high level, if you're stressed out, or if you're just medium or low level
Hmm.
volume. She can bring it up or bring it down.
Right.
So that's our biggest thing right now. We're working with the city of Detroit. We're working with Shinola as far as their call center, the city of Detroit, and a government entity where they have anywhere between 300 to 400 calls a day,
Hmm.
and only 12% of the calls are answered. So now we're able to take and make it 100% efficient with all of the calls being answered. And
Hmm.
then at the same time, uh, the problems are being somewhat solved because a lot of the questions that the residents of Detroit have are just frequently asked questions. A
Hmm.
tree fell down in front of my house. There's a legal dumping behind my house.
Hmm.
These are questions that she can answer where these employees can now get other work done
Hmm.
uh, outside of just answering these questions.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And as business owners, that's primarily the people that tune into the show. This is huge because, like you said, it's not going anywhere. And if your systems are crap, you will lose business. You will not
Yes.
make it if you do not adjust to this AI world. I've had to do it. He's obviously proactively have done it. If you're not adjusting and making your systems tighter, you're a dinosaur. I
Yeah.
mean, the example that you shared between the horses and the cars, I never even thought about it like that. But this thing is here and it's here to stay. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm glad you told me a lot of business owners follow this because the way to scale is through systems.
yeah,
Uh, if you're
actually,
doing
I talked about that this morning.
if you're doing everything like things should be just on autopilot. You
Yeah.
know, if you have invoices that's going out on a monthly basis, you
Hmm.
should have to go in there every month to manually put it in. It should automatically on
Right.
the 5th of every month, on the 3rd every month already be sent out.
Hmm.
Uh, you should also have some type of AI agent answering phone calls because as entrepreneurs and business owners, we're doing it like I was just talking to you and I had a phone call I had to answer. You know,
Exactly.
so you should have all of these so you won't miss a call.
Hmm.
You won't be on the job and work and doing something and you're missing an important call. Plumbers,
Hmm.
gardeners. This is for anybody, any scale. If you're just starting out or if you're a Fortune 100 company, it's for you.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, the next thing that we do, we have a Chat GPT mastery school where a lot of people don't understand that Chat GPT is it's like Google on steroids.
Yeah.
You're using it just like Google, like, hey, where is the closest taco spot? You're
Hmm.
not getting full advantage of it. And the example I like to give is a lot of these podcasts, a lot of these TV shows. I'm going on the Breakfast Club. I'm going on Angela Yee next month.
Hmm.
Uh, I've done multiple interviews with all the news outlets in the city of Detroit,
Hmm.
Cincinnati. I've spoke at 5 different prisons in North Carolina, and
Hmm.
it's all through ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT to act as if it is a PR firm with 20 years experience
Hmm.
and has written a media release for athletes, entertainers,
Hmm.
rappers, authors, and be professional and very detailed.
Right.
It gave me a media release that I can send to all of these media outlets, and now they're responding like, "Hey, we'd love to have you on the show." So
Yeah.
it's about all of the prompts that you put into
Wow.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
people,
funny though that what you just said. I was stubborn for years because I'm a creator. I like to write my own articles. I do my own thing. And one of my boys told me about ChatGPT a couple of years ago. But then it was on this show. I had another guest who said something very similar to what you said. And now I pay for the $44 a month one. I'm prompting it. I'm making sure all that stuff. I use it very similar to how you just suggested. And I never actually heard the term Google on steroids, but the more it gets to know me, the more I'm
yeah,
realizing, damn. the data they're collecting, it's going to be something that if you're not using it again, shame on you.
Oh
Shame
man,
on
shame
you
on you, man.
if you are not taking advantage of this. So what's the best way for people to reach out though so they can is it through email or LinkedIn?
Yes, it's through email, believe313staffing at Gmail.
Hmm?
Um, Instagram is believe313staffing. Facebook is the same. YouTube is believe313staffing.
Hmm?
And if you're trying to check out our AI side, it's Believe in AI. That's BELIEVEINAI.ai.
Right, and we will include all that in the show notes as well. So, listeners, if you're driving, it's okay to sit there. We're actually going to use the AI ourselves to put the description out, and you can click the links and get all the information and all that kind of stuff. So, all that being said, Mario, the way I close out all the shows is I want you to use your imagination a little bit. It is, I guess, week number 2 in your car. It's cold. You're trying to figure it out. You got the isms, you got Dan Gilbert's book in your mind, you're at this suburbs place. Just pretend that that version of you is here in the Zoom room. Give that man some words of encouragement, and we will officially close.
I was tell him to keep believing.
Mhm.
Don't listen to what's in your head. Stay focused. Actually clear your mind out because in order to put believe, determination, and motivation and manifestation into your mind, I use it like a garage. You can't put none of that into a garage that's full. So
Mhm.
clear that garage out and you'll be able to put all of that in
Mhm.
and stay prayed up. Keep God first. During all of those cold times,
Mhm.
windows is fogged up,
Mhm.
it's snowing. Let just continue to know that God is sitting in that van with you.
Mhm. Well, you can't see him, but I have goosebumps right now. That one touches my heart, brother. So appreciate you, man. Looking forward to keeping up with your journey. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.
Most definitely.